You're listening to the Chad Hasty Show on demand. Good for you. Now download the KFYO app and listen live weekday afternoons 5 to 7 p.m. Central.
Broadcasting from the great state of Texas, this is the Chad Hasty Show. News and views with a Lone Star perspective. You can sound off during the show by sending Chad a text at 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. Or call in at 1-800-687-0790. Now, here's Chad Hasty.
Good evening, Lubbock, Amarillo, Abilene, Wichita Falls, Midland, Odessa, Dallas, Fort Worth, down in Houston, over in El Paso, and anywhere else, inside or outside the great state of Texas, wherever you may be listening on this Tuesday, March 26th. Getting you closer to the weekend every single time we pop on the air. Welcome into the Chad Hasty Show. Glad to have you with us today as we have quite a bit to get into. A lot of topics out there. Of course, one of the issues that one of the stories that a lot of people have been following is this Baltimore bridge that fell after being crashed into. And the ramifications it'll have for President Biden already coming out today and saying that the United States will rebuild the bridge. That as soon as possible, the U.S. will begin to rebuild the bridge. The federal government will rush in to build that bridge in Baltimore. We'll talk about that. Also, we've got some statewide news to get to with Attorney General Ken Paxton. He's making some headlines today. The deal officially done. We'll talk about that. And in his securities fraud case that's been going on for 10 years now. It's been chasing him, and he's been claiming his innocence the entire time. And we'll get to the deal that was officially signed off on and agreed upon today and announced today. Also, we've got 8 different states planning to ban gas-powered vehicles. We'll get into that topic, and we'll also get into the latest 2024 news as well throughout the show today. We want to hear from you, as always, at 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. When you text in to the show, let us know who you are. Give us a name, where you're listening from. We always like to know that. You can also give us a call as well at 1-800-687-0790. That's 1-800-687-0790. You can text in, call in, let us know your thoughts on any of the topics of the day that you would like to sound off on. Of course, we also want to hear from you on some of the fun topics that may be out there as well. One of the running topic today, something that we want to get from you, want to hear from you about when it comes to your job. What is the favorite part of your job and the least favorite part of your job? Now, remember, you can remain anonymous when you text in. And you don't have to, name the business or anything like that. But your favorite part of the job, your least favorite, the most hated part of the job. Now, you don't have to do both if you don't want to. But what do you like about your job? What do you not like about your job? You can text in at 806-680-2790. The first voice you hear from when you dial in today. He's back. Nick has returned. He's back from vacation. He went to Washington, D.C., and he has returned to West Texas. Nick, welcome back. How are you? How was the trip to Washington, D.C.?
Well, it was actually smoother than I thought, and I say that meaning everything. The whole trip went very smooth.
That's good.
I did have that coveted 4 a.m. Flight last Thursday, but I survived.
You did.
I know that no human wakes up before 4 a.m.
No, it's crazy.
I broke the mold on that one, but it's possible for anyone wondering. No, we got to see a lot of monuments. We got to be cheesy, cliche tourists.
Right.
My favorite part was whenever we'd want a photo, we'd find a cluster of people who were doing the exact same thing, so that we just blended in.
Sure.
So nobody would look at us, give us a side eye of
no one's a tourist in Washington D.C. as you know.
No, there's like 4, I think, at any time. My favorite thing was every time we would walk down the sidewalk, wherever we were, there were 7 out of 10 people were all dressed in suits, pantsuits, power suits, business attire.
Yes.
And I was first of all, I was intimidated.
Yeah.
Cause I packed 3 sweaters for this. And so I had my button down.
You didn't have your power suit ready to go?
I didn't have my power suit. I didn't have my pantsuit ready to go.
And did you
left
notice
that one at home.
that everyone in a suit, they are walking with a purpose and determination? They may not be going anywhere.
Right.
And half of them are homeless. But they are walking with determination to be somewhere and to be seen.
Right. And to make a lot of money, I would imagine.
Not everybody, but some. Yeah.
The cost of food. Now, I was expecting the worst.
For sure.
But to be honest, it wasn't horrible.
Yeah.
We did go to one restaurant where it was, I paid $32 for I think it was a New York strip, just a tiny little piece.
Yeah.
With about
a very tiny New York strip.
2 dozen French fries.
Okay.
The rest was garnished on the plate. And so $32, I got myself a few bites of steak.
Yeah, and a lot of potato.
Basically the size of a burger.
Yeah.
And then and some starch and oil.
That's good.
And it was good.
Yeah.
But I could have went to McDonald's.
Sure.
Gotten 10 Big Macs. For that, and been just as satisfied, maybe. Yeah. I don't know, but we were also on the college campus. We were on the George Washington State or George Washington University. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
So most of our time was frolicking with the university, with the college students,
right?
Which again, didn't get any looks.
Yeah.
Because we're I am around that age.
You blend in.
I blended in.
Sure.
Me, my fiance and I both. We just go walking and nobody looks at us. We just, pretend. Again, going back to your point, you walk with purpose.
Yeah.
And this is a good anywhere in life. You just pretend like you know what you're doing and where you're going.
Absolutely.
People will let you go anywhere.
I've snuck into many resorts.
Yep.
You look like you belong. Yep. Okay, just act like you belong and you go.
Just speed walk wherever you go, and no one's like, "Whoa, he's going to hurry." Clearly, let him go, let him pass.
Right, absolutely.
He knows what he's doing.
So you went to some of the monuments. Mm-hmm. Did you have a favorite monument that you were able to go to?
So, I did. Trying to think. I 3 off the bat, 3 main ones that I could think of. We did obviously the when you go to Washington D.C., you have to go to the Washington Monument.
Right, it's there.
I went there a few times.
Yeah,
actually.
Did you go in the monument?
No.
Okay.
I saw the door. There's an elevator, right?
Yes.
On the inside. Yeah. I've seen the Spider-Man movie.
Right.
But we couldn't go in, and nobody else was. I guess they reserved it for tours.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. I think you gotta get tickets now ahead of time.
Yeah. We just showed up and.
This is your first time going to Washington, D.C.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're taking in everything. And then we passed, on the way from the Washington Monument to the Lincoln Memorial.
Yes.
The World War II memorial.
Right.
Is there. So we went through that a few times. And then, the Smithsonian's.
Yes.
Got to go there. Also very fun.
Yeah.
Lots of walking.
There's a lot of walking in D.C.
My calves.
Yes. Yeah.
Very painful.
Yeah.
I think they've turned to stone, actually, over the past 4 days.
Yeah. You do a lot of walking.
Yeah. Or you pay for an Uber. You pay for everything.
Yes.
We stayed at the
You
hotel.
almost pay for walking.
The hotel, very nice hotel, very fancy hotel.
Oh.
But we didn't have a fridge or a microwave.
Okay.
So it was just bed, TV, bathroom.
Yeah, not that
essentially.
fancy. Yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
We had a closet though.
Okay.
And luckily we were with a group, and so other side of the hotel. We had to go every time. I bought a sandwich at one point. I'm like, well, I'm not going to just let it sit overnight. So I walked all the way to the other side of the hotel, put it in someone else's fridge, walked all the way back. It was like 11 p.m., way past my bedtime.
Yeah.
But it was worth it. It was a fun time. Yeah.
So you had a good time.
All in all, I did.
That's good. That's good. And nobody got carjacked or anything like
Nobody
that?
Nobody got carjacked. We did only hover around like central. Again, we were on like basically around the college campus.
Yeah.
So we didn't meander much.
Okay.
Whenever we went for walks, we stick to the crowd. The same rule applies. You're on a cruise and you get off for the excursions. Just stick with the crowd.
With the crowds.
You're good to go.
Yeah,
That's what we did.
Yeah, safety in numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad you had a good time. Sounds like you had fun. Some text messages coming in. Nick obviously hasn't checked the price of a Big Mac lately. And the Big Macs in D.C., they are more expensive there. They are a little pricey. Let's see. We did ask you, before we go to the break, we did ask, and this will be a running topic throughout the show, what do you love about your job? What do you hate about the job? Not love about the job, however you want to put it. David, let's see. David commented on something else. I wonder if we can sue governments for banning vehicles. I don't think you can. Texture on what they love and what they hate about their job. People and people. That's good. Yeah, I can see. Yeah, that's a good one. Texture, I'm a pilot, love flying, hate van rides, and closed restaurants and early flights. I can see that. John and Abilene do heating and air conditioning. My favorite part of the day is making people's day. My least favorite part of the day is having to deal with the rude/mean secretary. Yeah. 806-680-2790. Texture, not crazy about the hours, 60 to 70. Wish it was less for the same pay. From Spaceman Spiff texting in on the text line. Good to hear from you, Spaceman. You can send us a text. What do you love about your job? What do you not love about your job? You can text in 806-680-2790. We'll see if Nick gets in a text here in just a little bit. He having to deal with that jerk of a radio host. That's could come in at any second. We'll be right back.
The Chad Hasty Show can be heard all over West Texas, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Tune in on News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO in Lubbock, News Talk 940 in Amarillo, News Talk 94.7 and 1470 KYYW in Abilene, and in Wichita Falls on News Talk 96.3 and 1290. The Chad Hasty Show. Make it a part of your drive home, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. VA disability compensation is a monthly tax-free payment to veterans who got sick or injured in the military and to veterans whose service worsened an existing condition. You may qualify for VA disability compensation for physical and mental health conditions that developed or worsened due to service. Learn more at va.gov/disability.
Sean Hannity and Chad Hasty, weekdays on News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO.
All right, welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show. Happy Tuesday. Story out of the U.S. Sun. Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse will spark U.S. food and car supply issues. Strengthened calls to cut foreign imports. Let's see. Shipping has been suspended at the port of Baltimore after the cargo vessel bound for Asia crashed into the Francis Scott Key Bridge. early Tuesday morning. You've probably seen the video of this. It's pretty amazing. 6 people feared missing in the freezing waters while the impact of the collision sent cars plunging into the waterway. Trade experts have warned that widespread disruption is expected as city chiefs scramble to clear debris and reopen shipping lanes before attempting to rebuild the bridge. They also claim there will be calls to cut dependency on imports. The automobile and ag sectors will be the most likely impacted. One business expert at Johns Hopkins University warned there could be up to 7 months of disruption. Quote, it's a 1.5 mile long bridge. It's not going to be built in a couple of months. It's not going to happen within 3 or 4 months, he told the U.S. Sun. He believes that the automobile and logistical industries will be among the most impacted. Major brands such as Amazon and FedEx have distribution warehouses near the port, but the Port of Baltimore's share of trade along the East Coast is relatively smaller compared to its New York and New Jersey counterparts. They say there will be supply chain delays on the East Coast with car imports, including with Jaguar and Land Rover. There will also be short-term impacts on food supplies as port handles significant imports of agriculture, machinery, commodities, including sugar, salt, and fertilizers. Cargo workers at the port handle imports and exports of popular car brands, including Audi, Bentley, Volkswagen, Nissan, Jaguar, Land Rover. Ford and GM have already taken steps to reroute Baltimore shipments. They said that they do not expect any widespread disruption, though, to the supply chain issues that we saw in the past back in 2021. Quote, U.S. consumers will likely not see a return to the 2021 nightmare supply chain breakdown on the West Coast when trucks and ships were logjammed due to a shortage of drivers. At the Port of Los Angeles, the shortage of workers to load and unload shipments and drivers, combined with the increased demand for consumer products during the pandemic and fewer ships arriving from Asia, caused a perfect storm in 2021. It took a while to get out of that. But the president announcing today that taxpayer money will be spent to rebuild the bridge. It'll be a federal government type issue, which that means they'll probably just screw it up. Anytime the federal government gets involved, they're gonna leave it up to Pete Buttigieg to solve. And boy, he's been great at logistics and handling the transportation department. He's been very, very good at it. We know that. So I'm sure everything will be just fine when it comes to the Baltimore ship collapse and trying to get everything together. Congress expected to consider emergency funding. That's according to Fox News. Congressional lawmakers expected to move quickly on the anticipated supplemental spending request to cover at least part of rebuilding the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. May take time to determine how much such a project would cost and what the exact needs will be. The Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsing today, and after a container ship crashed into one of the bridge supports. In past years, Congress has acted quickly to commit funding to collapse bridge and infrastructure catastrophes, and this was one of them. Emergency appropriations for Tuesday's disaster may not move as quickly as they did back in 2007, considering the scope of the tragedy and the size of the old Key Bridge. Congress is currently in recess, and only one they just wrapped up a fight over government spending. So we'll see how much they're going to spend on this. Sources familiar with the House operations told Fox they don't expect there to be a problem moving a bill for emergency bridge funding, even though House Appropriations Committee Chairwoman Kay Granger recently announced that she was giving up her gavel. Back in 2007, after the I-35 bridge over the Mississippi River collapsed under its own weight, The rapid action of Congress and President George W. Bush helped speed recovery efforts and reconstruction of the bridge. Bush's emergency declaration just days after the bridge collapsed allowed the estate to recover costs of the federal government and begin to remove debris from the scene. So they're looking at doing the same thing here. Let's see some text messages coming in on what people love and hate about their job. Let's see, texture here, Kendra in Lubbock. I'm a funder at a local title company. Love my job most of the time. Love my coworkers and some of the local lenders. I've come to hate some of the non-local rude lenders that take forever to answer emails and stuff. Boy, isn't it annoying when you get someone that takes a long time to email you back, and you know they've seen the, like you just know they've seen the email, it's just sitting there, and you're waiting for an answer. Oh. Patrick in Paducah. Favorite being a self-employed farmer. Least favorite being the boss, because I can just take off when I shouldn't. Another texture. I love being a farmer, but I hate when Mother Nature makes me work too hard. When we come back, your phone calls, your text messages, and much more here on the Chad Easty Show.
The Chad Hasty Show, weekdays 5 to 7 p.m. Sound off during the show by sending Chad a text at 806-680-2790.
On the road with Mr. Rhodes.
Hey, here's the shocker. Cars are bigger than people. So if you're behind the wheel, be careful. Those crosswalk stripes, they aren't left over from National Paint a Street like a zebra day. They mean you need to stop for people in crosswalks and yield the right of way when turning at intersections. And no looking at phones, photos, texts, emails, or holding your jeans or where that nickel fell. Oh, and please slow down. Sound advice mixed in with professional sound effects.
Be safe, drive smart. A message from TxDOT.
Listen up. It's the fourth quarter. You're almost there. Parents, teachers, counselors, coaches, your boys just turned 18, but they need one more push. Don't let them forget to register with the Selective Service System. It's required by law, and if they don't register, they'll miss out on many important federal benefits. Say it with me. SSS.gov. SSS.gov. Let's get them registered today.
The news and talk of West Texas. News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO. Don't you forget about Chad. At Chad Hasty Radio. On Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And on your radio. Now, back to the Chad Hasty Show.
All right, back on the Chad Hasty Show. Thank you for tuning in today. 806-680-2790, 1-800-687-0790 if you want to call in. If you just want to send in a text, what you love about your job, what you don't really love about your job, you can text those things in at 806-680-2790. Steve in Amarillo weighing in. I had to turn my radio off, didn't get to hear what 8 states are planning to ban gasoline-powered cars. I hope they're also planning to forbid diesel-powered vehicles as well. That would show their true intelligence. We'll get to that story coming up a little bit later on. Now, they're going to ban the purchase, the selling of gas-powered vehicles in those states. At least they plan to. I don't think it'll actually happen, but that's what they plan to do. 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. Ken Paxton agreeing to community service, paying restitution to avoid a trial in the basically 10-year-long securities fraud case that's been chasing after him. Prosecutors on Tuesday agreed to drop the securities fraud charges facing the Texas AG. That's as long as he performs 100 hours of community service, fulfills other conditions of a pretrial agreement, bringing an abrupt end to the nearly 9-year-old felony case that's loomed over the embattled Republican since his early days in office. The deal, which landed 3 weeks before Paxton is set to face trial, also requires him to take 15 hours of legal ethics courses and pay restitution to those he is accused of defrauding more than a decade ago when he allegedly solicited investors in a McKinney technology company without disclosing that the firm was paying him to promote its stock. The amount of restitution totals about $271,000, a prosecutor, Brian Weiss, said. Paxton, who will not have to enter a plea under the terms of the agreement, faced the prospect of decades in prison if he had been convicted of fraud. His status as a felon, based in part of an opinion he issued himself, would have likely barred him from running for office in the future. Now, the Texas Tribune also has a story. Legal experts say it's actually very rare to pursue jail time in security fraud cases like Paxton's. Cases like Paxton, typically prosecuted in civil court, would not have resulted in jail time. Lawyers said specializing in securities fraud. And this is something that we have talked about. It was a while back. I mean, this has been going on for 9 years, and this has been brought up numerous times that in other cases, this would not have gone to jail time. Now, let me tell you this. That doesn't necessarily apply here because the people who were going after Ken Paxton absolutely wanted to make an example of Ken Paxton. They absolutely would have loved to have thrown him in jail. Absolutely, they would have loved to. One of the reasons why this has taken so long, well, there's been many reasons why it's taken so long, but you have to think of just the money wasted, the time wasted. And the prosecutors are trying to act like this is a big win for them and that, hey, they were never seeking jail time. Oh, we were never, and that's one of the quotes. Oh, we were never really seeking jail time. We were never really seeking to lock him up or anything like that. We just wanted him to pay back the system. Well, if that's true, then why wasn't this settled 9 years ago? Why wasn't this settled 8 years ago? Why wasn't this settled years ago? It's because prosecutors wanted to throw the guy in jail. And what has come out in recent days is that since it has taken so long, many of the witnesses are not cooperating anymore. They're not going against Ken Paxton. And prosecutors don't have much of a case. They don't have a very strong case, which, by the way, after 9 years, of course they wouldn't have as strong of a case. So again, they kept this up for 9 years. It would have been, it probably would have gone longer than that. But they realized that everything was falling apart on their end, and so they're wrapping this up, and he's going to have to pay a fine. He's going to have to take, an extra learning class, extra law class on the law. Some legal training he's going to have to go through. But really, this is a slap on the wrist compared to what they wanted. Again, when it comes to other cases, absolutely, you don't see jail time in most of these other cases, but that's not what they wanted for Paxton. They wanted to lock Paxton up. They wanted to throw the guy in jail, and that ain't going to happen. The story continues from the Texas Tribune. Let me be clear. At no time was he going to enter a plea bargain agreement or admit to conduct that simply did not occur. Paxton's attorney, Dan Codgel, said in a statement, said that prosecutors approached them and Paxton was happy to agree to the terms of the dismissal. There was no admission of any wrongdoing on Ken's part in the agreement because there was no wrongdoing on his part. The deal is the second major win for Paxton in roughly the last 6 months after the Republican-controlled Texas Senate acquitted him last fall of the 16 impeachment charges centered on the allegations that he accepted bribes and abused the authority of his office. Still, Paxton's legal troubles not over. His agency continues to face a lawsuit brought by 4 former top deputies who argue that Paxton improperly fired them in 2020 for not for reporting them to the FBI. Those whistleblowers told law enforcement they believed Paxton was using his office to benefit the Austin real estate mogul Nate Paul. So that's the legal issue that's still out there. Who knows if that'll actually go anywhere? But for Paxton, he's continuing to be Teflon Ken on this. 806-680-2790. Let's go to the phones out to Lynn County. That's where Richard is at. Richard, what's going on this evening?
Hey, Chad. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
On my love and hate about the job, then construction, and the answer to both of that part is customers.
You love the good customers, right?
Oh, yeah. I'll give you an example of the hate first, and then I'll go to one of the couples I loved. We're building this house for a guy, and we get there one morning after a rain, and we see that one of the windows had leaked. So we dry all the water out, bring the water hose on, put the nozzle on it to simulate rain, where you don't just you used to simulate rain, where it's draining coming down. We found the leak and fixed it. The next morning we get there, he's over at that window, down on a knee. He has the water hose there, and his thumb is over the end of it, where it's spraying out like a jet. And his hand is like about a foot away from the window, and he's spraying directly up underneath the trim. And we're like, what sort of weather is he expecting?
That would be a strange rain. I would not be happy with that type of rain.
Yeah. That's the sort of customer that you hate in construction.
Right.
We also one time when we were building a new house for this couple, they started out good, being set up by their parents when they got married, and they finally had enough money saved up to where they could move a mile out of town and build their house that they wanted.
Right.
Well, we get to the end of the build, and it's like the last day where we're just doing the mop up, cleaning up everything. We had left to run back to the shop to pick up some more cleaning stuff that didn't get loaded. We come back, he's got the barbecue grill going.
Oh.
And then it's about 3 o'clock or so, and his wife comes over and is like, "Hey, why don't y'all call y'all's better halves and tell them to head on out for some barbecue?"
There you go. That's good people.
Yeah.
I like that.
And you just find everything from the bottom to the top of the spectrum.
Yeah.
You're going to run into somebody sooner or later.
Absolutely. Hey, great call, Richard. Appreciate it. Have a great day out there.
Thanks, Chad.
Have a great day in Lynn County. Let's see when we, let's go ahead and take the break. When we come back, we've got some more text messages rolling in. What do you love about your job? What do you not love about your job? We'll be right back.
The Titan of Texas Talk Radio, Chad Hasty.
Talking with newsmakers and about the issues that matter to you. The Chad Hasty Show, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Chad's show is also digital with the Chad Hasty Show podcast. The Chad Hasty Show podcast can be downloaded on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and the Radio On Demand page at KFYO.com. The Chad Hasty Show, all across Texas during your drive home, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Did you know veterans enrolled in VA healthcare can use over 4,000 urgent care locations across the country to treat non-life-threatening conditions? It's easy and free. Just show your Veteran Health ID card. Get the best care for veterans. Sign up at va.gov or visit your nearest VA medical center.
In Texas and more. Michael Berry and Chad Hasty. Weekday mornings and afternoons on News Talk KFYO.
Back on the Chad Hasty Show, 806-680-2790. Looks like some rain showers popping up to the west of Lubbock. You can text in at any time on any of the issues. What do you love about your job? What do you not love about your job? We've got some text messages that have come in. We'll get to those here in just a second. Texas A&M University to host a drag show on campus. The event called Draggy Land. You know, instead of Aggie Land, Draggy Land. Yeah. Will be hosted for the 5th year in a row. They're not following after West Texas A&M. West Texas A&M, who says, no, we don't think so. No drag shows on our campus. Despite the federal court siding with a campus within the A&M system against drag shows, the flagship campus at College Station will host a drag show later this week. A student-run drag show featuring 6 drag queens / kings that compete for the crown of Draggyland in a pageant-style show. The show, hosted by the Queer Empowerment Council, began back in 2020, faced challenges from students and officials who disagree with the performance. But, you know, if you disagree with the performance, you're homophobic, you're just a horrible person. You have to allow it. Texas A&M's decision to host the drag show on campus creates a interesting contrast, according to this report, with West Texas A&M, which is in the same system, refused to allow its students to host a drag show on campus. Last year, West Texas A&M LGBT organization Spectrum WT planned to host a drag show called A Fool's Drag Race, which was advertised as a PG-13 and a fundraiser for the Trevor Project, a controversial LGBT group. In canceling the event, the president of West Texas A&M, Walter Windler, said drag shows discriminate against womanhood. Windler at the time said, as a performance exaggerating aspects of womanhood, sexuality, femininity, gender, drag shows stereotype women in cartoon-like extremes for the amusement of others and discriminate against womanhood. Drag shows are derisive, divisive, demoralizing, misogyny, no matter the stated intent. Such conduct runs counter to the purpose of WT, he added, comparing the drag shows to blackface. Spectrum WT and 2 of the group's student leaders filed a lawsuit against Windler and the A&M or West Texas A&M Vice President for Student Affairs, Christopher Thomas, Texas A&M System Chancellor John Sharp, and several members of the university's Board of Regents, claiming Windler violated their First Amendment rights. Now, again, you can go and hold the show anywhere you want. Just because you're a student at West Texas A&M or Texas A&M or Texas Tech or Abilene Christian University or wherever you may be doesn't mean you just get whatever you want. You can go and hold these events off campus. In fact, last year, the WT LGBT group, they held an event off campus, and I guess it went fine. I don't know. But they were able to have the event. They went and held it somewhere else. I'm fine with places saying no. You're not owed a spot to go and prance around and dress up and as something you're not. That's not a right that you just get to claim and say, oh, we want to use this space to do it. No. Otherwise, any group could at any time could just take over a spot on a college campus or anywhere else and say, this is my First Amendment right. I want to hold a whatever rally. Whether it's blackface or a Nazi rally or whatever you want it to be. A university can say no. Especially if they believe it's divisive, they believe it's insulting. They can say no. But you've got so many of these children who are out there. That's what they are. They're children who believe everything is owed to them and they get to do whatever they want. So I love that WT is standing up. Texas A&M could learn from them. So could a lot of other universities, that's for sure. Some text coming in. I'm an oncology infusion nurse. I absolutely love my job. It's not always glamorous. Sometimes it's heart-wrenching when we lose patients, but getting to walk with patients on their cancer journey and being there for them in some of their most vulnerable moments is something I will never take for granted. Texter, why isn't the insurance company paying for the reconstruction of the Francis Scott Key Bridge? Good question. When we come back, your phone calls, your text, and much more.
The Chad Hasty Show, a presentation of the Texas Town Square Media Network. The views and opinions expressed during the Chad Hasty Show are not necessarily the views of this station staff, management, advertisers, or Town Square Media. Broadcasting from the great state of Texas, this is the Chad Hasty Show. News and views with a Lone Star perspective. You can sound off during the show by sending Chad a text at 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. Or call in at 1-800-687-0790. Now, here's Chad Hasty.
Welcome back to the Chad HD Show. Appreciate you being out there. Final hour of the program, 806-680-2790. You can send in your thoughts on the text line. You can, of course, reach out to me on social media at Chad Hasty Radio on the X. That's where you can find me. Other social media platforms as well. And again, you can get in touch with the program, sound off on anything that you'd like to talk about today. We've been asking you your favorite, about your job, your favorite part about your job, the part you love, and the part that you don't love as much. What do you love about your job? What do you not love about your job? You can text in at 806-680-2790. Lots of really good text coming in from folks. This text message coming in earlier saying, won't name names, but what I dislike about my job is the slander of my homeland and my superior clothing preferences. What I like about my job is forcing the host to wait until my favorite part of the bumper music is played. Not sure who sent that in. Maybe Connor. Not sure who sent that in, though. Now, what is the slander of your homeland? What does that even mean, Nick? I'm not sure what the slander of your land of cheese, I'm not sure what that means.
Well, first of all,
yes.
We don't even know who that was from.
That's true.
So
it's a very good point.
I'll assume the role
yes.
of whoever sent that.
Okay, thank you.
Because we don't know.
We don't know.
In fact, if I remember, I believe the beginning of that specifically said, I'm not going to name names.
That's true. That's true. That's a good point.
That could be anyone there.
That's true. I'm sorry for accusing you.
Yeah, if it were me.
Yes.
Well, you know, I come from a land.
Yes.
That we're a very proud people.
Really?
You may just say it's
in Wisconsin?
basically it's the northern Texas.
I don't know if I've heard that before.
People say that. Well, up there they say it.
The
you know,
northern
just
Texas.
the state pride.
I thought that was Amarillo.
That we exude.
No,
that northern, way northern.
Okay.
You may, you know, Canada's pimple, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
We exude pride. You know, we even have our own pledge. Not many people know about it.
I don't think you do.
It's hidden.
Do you really?
It's hidden.
Okay,
yeah, I'll
it's a
tell
secret.
it to you one time. One day I'll bring it up. Yeah. But you know, it's just it gets a little you know, it tarnished our pride sometimes.
Okay,
it hurts a little.
I see. Okay, the land of cheese gets they pledge allegiance to the land of cheese and the Green Bay Packers. That's what they pledge allegiance to, I think. 806-680-2790. One texture, Jason in Abilene, the paycheck and the paycheck. Very good. You can text in 806-680-2790. Oh, it's good to be an illegal immigrant in New York City, folks. New York City begins handing out prepaid debit cards to the quote-unquote migrants in the new controversial plan. The Adams administration launching its program to give prepaid debit cards to New York City migrants this week, 2 months after inking a controversial no-bid $53 million contract for the deal. Staffers with the New Jersey company Mobility Capital Finance handed out 8 preloaded MasterCards at the Roosevelt Hotel on Monday as part of an early pilot program that will expand to 115 cards by next week, according to City Hall. The one-year deal came under fire after the Post revealed that the contract was inked without a typical bidding process. Well, who needs that? The program could be a boon for the tech startup, giving the potential. Oh, someone, yes, this is a buddy deal, giving it the potential to net $1.8 million by taking a cut of the funds loaded to each MasterCard. The administration scaled back the original plan, which would have loaded the cards with a month's worth of money and food and baby supplies. Cash will now need to be replenished each week, which, you know, it will. A family with 2 parents and kids under 5 will receive about $350 a week. It's nice. The Post unable to track down any of the mice. Again, it's going to be illegal. And not only that, that's not the only free thing that you get in New York City if you are an illegal immigrant. Now, you could be thinking, look, Chad, $350 a week, that's not a lot to live on in New York City. Hey, remember, these are people fleeing a third world country. $350 a week, that's hitting it rich for some of these folks. And they're in New York City, too. Not only do they get the $350 a week, but they also are already getting free rent in different hotels. They're getting free food. They're also going to get free attorneys, free Medicare, and free flights to wherever they need to go if they want to leave New York City and, you know, be transported to California. It's not bad. It's pretty good, really, when you think about it. I mean, that's they've got it a lot better than some of our own citizens here in the United States. Seriously, this is from PJ Media. New York City illegal immigrants already receiving free rent, free food, now getting free lawyers, free Medicare, and free flights. And, of course, now they'll be getting the free debit card that they can use for even more food, baby supplies, stuff like that. That's pretty good if you're illegal. Not bad at all. Let's see, Michelle from Southwest Ohio checking in. I love driving to and from my different locations. My least favorite part is firing people. Sometimes management sucks. You're fired. Michelle in Southwest Ohio. I wonder if we may have to ask that question at some point, Nick. For those who have fired people, Like I said, do you have any crazy firing stories? Or maybe if you've been fired, do you have a crazy you've been fired type of story? That might be one that we break out at some point. That might be good. Let's head out to Amarillo and Mike in Amarillo. What's going on today?
Hey, Chad, how you doing?
Doing great.
Going to change the subject on you here a little bit.
That's fine.
You're aware of all the reps that are quitting the House. We got a one majority now, I think. Seems to me there's a plan. Tie that in with the SCOTUS ruling, the 9-0 that returned that power to the Congress only. And what I'm seeing is people getting paid off one way or another to quit the reps so that Pelosi or whoever can take back over again. And their number one job or their number one attempt will be trying to enact the 14th and disqualify Trump again. And I'm not hearing anybody talk about that. And that was part of the SCOTUS ruling.
Yeah, it's an interesting it's an interesting thought. Right now, the Republicans they still do have the majority. I don't think and I don't think anyone else is going to. You do have some special elections that'll be coming up and some appointments that'll be coming up soon. So that number will expand. So I don't think we're going to see it flip. And even if it does flip, it's going to take a little bit to get a new speaker because they have to call for one. They've got to call for a new speaker election, which the Republicans have done it.
They've already said Hakeem Jeffries is going to be it.
Sure. I mean, he would be if they call for one. Now, remember, they've got to have a couple of more Republicans who not only retire but immediately leave office. And that's been the odd deal is the Republicans who are not only retiring but immediately leaving, like today, leaving.
Exactly.
That's what's been odd.
Like a plot to me.
Yeah,
like a plot.
I'm not gonna rule out anything, because we've seen crazier things in the United States. So anything's possible. Anything's possible. Sure. But my hope is that's not where we're going. That they're going to hold on to. And I saw a report yesterday where they don't believe there will be any more abrupt resignations in the House, and that Republicans will hold on to the majority. The thing to really worry about is, can Republicans hold on to the House after November? And that's everything that I'm hearing right now is that Republicans don't believe they'll be able to hold on to the House in November.
Oh, really? I'm assuming anybody that votes for Trump's going to vote Republican straight ticket, so I was hoping for. Well,
that doesn't count. I mean, you got to remember, it's just because Trump may win a state, you've got a bunch of congressional, just like here in Texas. Trump's going to win Texas, but there are going to be some congressional districts that are Democrat, and you have that in other states, and in your big block centers, in your big urban areas, obviously those areas are going to be Democrat. And so, no, I mean, there's a very good chance that the House goes Democrat in the upcoming election.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't.
I hate to see that, but he's going to be paralyzed if that happens. But
absolutely.
I hope that's on everybody's mind. But anyway, love your show, dude. Thanks.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for being up in Amarillo and tuning in. We appreciate it. Thanks, Mike.
All right.
Have a great day. Let's go ahead and take the break. When we come back, your phone calls, your text messages, and much more.
The Chad Hasty Show can be heard all over West Texas, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Tune in on News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO in Lubbock, News Talk 940 in Amarillo, News Talk 94.7 and 1470 KYYW in Abilene, and in Wichita Falls on News Talk 96.3 and 1290. The Chad Hasty Show. Make it a part of your drive home, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m.
I'm Scarlett Johansson. My family relied on public assistance to help provide meals for us. These meals fueled my involvement in theater and the arts as a child, which fostered my love for acting. The Feeding America network of food banks helps millions of people put food on the table. You can join the movement to end hunger by donating, volunteering, and advocating. Because when people are fed, futures are nourished. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Local news, weather, and your opinions. Sunrise LBK, weekday mornings from 6 to 8:30 on News Talk KFYO.
On the Chad Hasty Show, thank you very much for tuning in. Catfish and Abilene weighing in, saying I've been a welder for 25 years. It sucked. Now I work for the city doing the same thing, and I absolutely love it. All right, there you go. That's from Catfish and Abilene. You can weigh in on the text line 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. What do you love about your job? What do you not love about your job? You can text you. We're still trying to find out who texted that one into us about their homeland and their superior. Hang on, what did they say? What did Nick say here? I'm sorry, not Nick. Well, we don't know who this was. Their superior clothing preferences. Yeah, I don't know who that was. That's obviously not Nick. Did you pick up any new sweaters when you were in? Did you go to a DC sweater store when you were there?
Unfortunately, no. I didn't add to my sweater collection, but I got a mug at almost every place that we went. So I have, first of all, way too many mugs.
Yeah. Are you a mug collector?
I am.
Okay.
I'm one of those. Yeah. It didn't start out that way.
Your wife didn't start out this way. When he was a baby. When he was a baby, he wasn't like, I want a mug everywhere I go. No, it started later in life.
This decline started much later.
Yes.
I don't even know. I don't know how it started. I just found a mug that I liked, and now every time I go somewhere,
yeah,
I buy a mug. I have way too many mugs because I use all of them. So that's the whole point. I'm buying them because I want to use them. So. I gotta find something out because I'm kind of drowning in mugs, but it's fun. You know, it's like, hey, I remember when I went there. As I drink my coffee.
Do you have more than 20 mugs?
I'd say I have about 30 something mugs.
About 30 something mugs. Okay,
and I mean like all in the kitchen.
So you can go a month and not reuse a mug.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Thanks. Yeah. Obviously they get a little pricey too. The other, I have a mug from the Pentagon. Yeah. And I've told you this. Yeah. I've shown you this mug.
You sent me a picture.
I did.
I sent you my White House mug.
That's right.
Yes.
I'm baffled that the Pentagon.
Yeah.
Would, I'm told, so I didn't get to tour it. My fiance was able to tour it. She got a special, VIP pass, whatever it is.
Yeah.
She got to tour and she said there's a gift shop.
Yeah.
When you walk in.
Yeah.
There's places to get food.
Sure.
You can get, mugs. You can get keychains, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Inside. And then she said, that she got to go through and see these offices and she's explaining these things. And I'm like, you know what? I want to see the real deep, in the Pentagon.
You want to go like 4 or 5 rings deep.
In there. Yeah. I want to see. She said some people, the employees they'll play pranks, which classic Pentagon employees, playing pranks. I feel like everyone knows that. They had, one room whenever they would have those special, passes for specific tours. They had one room that was dedicated to, I believe it said alien, autopsy room. I think is a big plaque in golden letters that said alien autopsy. And then they were all told to just quickly walk by. Don't look at it.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. It'd be really funny if it actually was an alien autopsy room and they're playing it off as a prank. That'd be, pretty fun, but I'd also want to see it.
Yeah.
Of
course.
Yeah. And get a mug. They sell an alien autopsy mug. I don't know what that is. But that sounds pretty good.
So you were surprised it had a gift store.
Right, because isn't the Pentagon one of the most secure locations?
Let me tell you something about Washington, D.C. And because you've just scratched the surface of Washington.
I have.
The entire place is a gift shop, okay? It's one giant gift shop, and they steal your money. I mean, that's what D.C. is. It is all about taking your money and buying stuff, and it never stops. Everywhere you go, there's a gift shop. Every building you go to in Washington, D.C., there's a gift store. So
you're saying $25 for a mug is too much?
That sounds about right for Washington, D.C.
Okay. Well,
that sounds about right.
All right. I mean, it's all the pretty colors on it. How can I say no?
Yeah, I mean,
it lured me.
It looks official. You looked like you worked at the Pentagon.
I know. I think I could pass.
Yeah.
Walk with urgency, carry my Pentagon mug.
Exactly. That's all you need.
In Texas.
That's all you need. That's all you need. How about this out of Florida? A dog digs up piece of antique bomb in a Florida backyard. A Florida man, of course it's Florida, a Florida man got the shock of his life last week when the family dog went from a dog with a bone to a dog with a bomb. It's from the New York Post, of course. After finding a piece of an unexploded ordnance in the backyard, local police say Matthew Sims was playing with his pup named Baby in his backyard on Jacksonville on Wednesday. When the dog started digging near the fence line, Sims walked over to make sure that she wasn't picking up anything she wasn't supposed to, and that's when he spotted something sticking out of the ground. Let's see. The dog had just uncovered a small piece of military ordnance that was about a foot long and weighed around 10 pounds. According to the homeowner, it appeared to be buried for some time based on the decaying object's rusting metal, according to a police report. Sims said to himself, okay, is this alive? Upon discovering the small bomb-like piece under about 6 inches of dirt, you panic, then you drop. Cops evacuated residents and a bomb squad came in to remove the antique ordnance. Despite the chaos, one neighbor said she wasn't worried. Well, we just watched. I wasn't scared because I've been around people who have found artifacts in the land. To me, it was interesting to watch. They did their thing. They were out of here in minutes. It's still a mystery how the ordnance ended up in the backyard of a suburban home. Sims said he's just happy they were able to find it so it can be disposed of. It's a good dog. Finding a bomb in the backyard. How about that? When we come back, your phone calls, your text, and more.
Call in to the Chad Hasty Show at 1-800-687-0790. The Chad Hasty Show, broadcasting on the Texas Town Square Media Network. Today's markets from the Texas Department of Ag.
Well, howdy, neighbors. Texas feeder catalogs reporting prices steady to $10 higher. Cattle futures were down. April live cattle futures down $3 and a dime. Closed at $183.10. March feeder cattle futures down $1.73. Closed at $247.72. May cotton futures were up. Closed at $93.41. May wheat futures down 12 cents, closed at $5.77 a bushel. May corn down 6 pennies to close at $4.32. And May soybean futures down a dime, closed at $11.99 a bushel. May soybean meal futures down $1.90, closed at $339.80 per ton. March Class B milk futures down a penny, closing at $16.41 a hundred. May crude oil futures down 33 cents, closed at $81.62 per barrel. And the Dow Jones is down 31 points. Closing at 39,282. And that's Market Roundup from the Texas Department of Agriculture. I'm your commissioner, Sid Miller. And remember, friends, Texas agriculture matters.
News and talk of West Texas. News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO. You're listening to The Chad Hasty Show.
right, welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show. Appreciate you being out there. 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. You can, of course, give us a call, 1-800-687-0790. Elizabeth weighing in on the text line. Hey, Chad and Nick. You ask what I love and hate about my job. Which job? 8 to 5 primary job is the administration, admin in an insurance agency. I usher applications through the underwriting process. It's wonderful almost in every way. I love that I get to make a difference for a whole lot of our clients. Love that when I win, our team wins, and our clients win. It's a great feeling to know that we're impacting people's lives in a very meaningful way. What I hate about it, it's exhausting when I finish the day. I don't have a lot of energy reserves for my secondary job, teaching, sewing, quilting, making quilts, and teaching sewing and quilting and making quilts for the public, which I love as much or more than the 8 to 5. Generally speaking, I just love my life. Practically everything about it. I just run out of time before I run out of ideas. Hope you all and everyone listening has a great evening. Thank you, Elizabeth. Hope you do as well. Always good to hear from Elizabeth. Let's see some polling data that's come out. The new NPR Marist poll out of Texas. Trump up 55%. To Biden 44% in Texas. That shouldn't surprise anyone. When you throw RFK Jr. in, Trump is up 48%. To Biden's 36%. RFK Jr. gets 15% in Texas. In the Senate race, Ted Cruz up 51% to Colin Allred's 45%. Folks, I'm telling you that may surprise people. Cruz at 51%, Allred at 45%. Now listen, it's a fairly healthy margin. I mean, that's not the Trump margin. Cruz only up 6 percentage points, where Trump is up 11 percentage points over Joe Biden. And there might be people who go, wait a minute, why would Cruz's number be so low? And it comes down to this. One, Colin Allred gets a little bit more support than Joe gets, just by 1 percentage point. But there are some Republicans who don't like Ted Cruz. There's some Republicans who they don't like Ted Cruz. It's almost like some of the Never Trumpers who are out there. I know it doesn't make any sense, but I'm telling you, there are people who do not like Ted Cruz, and this is what gives the Democrats a little bit of excitement in this Senate race. Colin Allred is not Beto O'Rourke. He is not someone who really fires up the Democrat base. He's not somebody who the media is just in love with. They probably will be in love with him at some point, but they're not just in love with the guy like they were Beto O'Rourke. But right now, Ted Cruz only up 6 percentage points in that Senate race, and he's at around 51%. That's, again, Republicans have got to turn out to vote. You're going to have to turn out to vote. The generic ballot in Texas is Republican plus 10, 54% to Democrats 44%. So Ted Cruz is underperforming both the generic ballot and Donald Trump in Texas. And I'm not trying to raise any alarms here, but if the Democrats were competent in Texas, if the Democrats weren't so crazy and so far to the left, the threat to Ted Cruz would be even bigger than it is right now. And I think there's only a slight threat to Ted Cruz. Let's see, a texture. Come on, Texas. Joe Biden shouldn't have that high of a percentage. I moved here because it was a red state. Let's keep it red. from Spaceman Spiff. Well, if you go back and you look at polling that's been done after the last couple of elections, the people who have moved here in the last 10 plus years, percentage-wise, are more conservative voters than those who have lived here their entire lives. And that surprises people. But those who, I've seen three different studies on this. And it was done after the first Trump election, where they went through and they were looking at, okay, the changes in Texas, those who are moving to Texas, are they turning Texas blue? Are they more conservative? Are they more liberal? If they're coming from California, what are they? And the people who are relatively new here are voting percentage-wise more conservative than those who have been here their entire lives. And you think about the growth of the urban areas, the growth of the cities, Dallas, Austin, Houston. Those cities are getting bluer and bluer and bluer by the week. And a lot of people are moving into those cities. A lot of people from the suburbs are moving into the cities. A lot of people are moving into those areas, and the suburbs are becoming even bluer. You have some Republicans who have just kind of given up if they live in those areas. You have some Republicans who have gone, well, if I'm going to have any say whatsoever in who represents me, I got to vote as a Democrat. You have some people who have just thrown up their hands altogether when it comes to voting. You got to be very careful on this one. I mean, Ted Cruz, in my opinion, Ted Cruz should not be at 51%. He should not be at 51%. He should be at around 55 to 50, at least 55%, if not higher than that. So again, Cruz at 51%, Colin Allred 45%, just one poll. And it is a left-leaning poll, but Cruz underperforming the generic ballot and Trump. And that should be a little bit of a cause for concern there. And a reminder for Republicans, you had better get out and vote in the upcoming election. And this shows you exactly why. 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. You can get in, sound off on any of the topics that you'd like to get into. Real quick, we'll bring this up. Texas lawmakers and agency leaders are experiment and ponder policies for an AI future. Just get ready for this to pop up in the upcoming legislative session, and also just around all around the United States, what AI means, not only for state governments, but also when it comes to how they're going to legislate and what they're going to legislate. AI is going to be a pretty big topic moving forward. When we come back, your phone calls, your text messages, and we'll begin to wrap things up here on the Chad Hasty Show.
The Titan of Texas Talk Radio, Chad Hasty.
Talking with newsmakers and about the issues that matter to you. The Chad Hasty Show, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. Chad's show is also digital with the Chad Hasty Show podcast. The Chad Hasty Show podcast can be downloaded on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and the Radio On Demand page at KFYO.com. The Chad Hasty Show, all across Texas during your drive home, weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Veterans, do you take medication? At VA, prescriptions have a range of copay levels, from free to $5, $8, or $11 for a 30-day prescription, depending on your eligibility. Refill by mail, in person, or on VA's mobile app. Sign up at va.gov or call 1-800-MyVA411.
Reynolds, join me and Kevin McCarthy for the Car Pro Show Saturday mornings at 11 on News Talk 95.1 and 790 KFYO.
Closing time. Open all the doors and let you out into the world. Closing time. Turn all of the lights on over every boy and every girl. Closing time. One last call for alcohol, so finish your whiskey or beer.
All right, welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show. As we begin to wrap things up, you can send in your thoughts on the text line 806-680-2790. That's 806-680-2790. You can weigh in on any of the topics, any of the issues that we have been getting into. How about this story? Attacks in New York City. And the transit system jumping a massive 50% as subway murders are surging in New York City. Crime on the subways becomes significantly more violent since the pandemic, with the number of felony assaults now soaring when compared to the pre-pandemic levels. That from an analysis from the New York Post shows you just how crazy things are getting in New York City. The number of attacks on trains that left victims injured jumped 53% from 2023's 570 felony assaults to the 373 reported in 2019. Those extra 200 extra felony assaults meant attacks resulting in substantial injury, accounting for 25% of the 2,285 major crimes reported on the trains and stations back in 2023, compared to just 15% of the 2,499 major crimes in 2019. Telling you, so these major cities, they're getting worse and worse, more and more violent. And you can go onto YouTube and you can see people who are just, they're recording some of these attacks that happen, and some of these people who will just push random people onto the train tracks. Or they'll just walk up and they'll punch somebody in the face. It's very disturbing. And you're seeing this all over the place. You're seeing this in so many of the larger cities across the United States. And that's why I've said before, why would you want to live in one of these big cities? Why would you want to be in one of these big cities? We had Mark in California. He was asking over the text as we went to break if I knew where the name Spaceman Spiff comes from. And texted him back with, of course, Calvin and Hobbes, and he just texted back. It's been out of print for a long time. You're a lot younger than me. Good for you, Mark in California. So going back to when I was a kid, when I was a wee little lad, sitting at the breakfast table on a Sunday, you bet I read the comic section. Absolutely, I was reading the comics. And, I was encouraged to read the Calvin and Hobbes. Absolutely. So, no, I read the back when I was a little kid, reading the newspaper. I didn't really read the newspaper, but I did read the comics when I was a little kid. And ask my dad, hey, let me see the comic section. After you're done, let me see the comics. I want to see what Garfield and everyone else is up to these days. Even as a kid, I really enjoyed the Far Side comics. Those were always enjoyable. So, yeah, I would say I enjoyed comics when I was younger. Still enjoy them from time to time now. I think they were a lot better back in the day, but, still enjoy some every now and then. 806-680-2790. Speaking of a little bit of nostalgia, for the X-Men fans out there, I watched last night, and again, I don't know if any of you guys over there, if you are, but the new Marvel, they have the new Marvel X-Men 97 series, the animated series. And I watched the first 2 episodes of that, and that was like being transported back to my youth. Very good job on that one that they've done with the X-Men 97. I like it. Wonder what the violent crime stats were in the subway under Giuliani. A lot lower than what they are now. Crime all over New York City, a lot higher now than what it was under Giuliani. But again, you can say that about so many of the big cities. And not just the big city, medium-sized cities, violent crime is going up. And there's numerous reasons for it. Obviously, inflation has something to do with it. Drugs, cartels, a wide open border. That all contributes to a violent city that you have. And when you have many youth who are really just thrown out onto the street, no one gives a damn. And there's no punishment. There's not even any judicial punishment. It's what you get. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Stay safe out there. Stay healthy. God bless you all. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 5 p.m. for the Chad Hasty Show.
The Chad Hasty Show, a presentation of the Texas Town Square Media Network. The views and opinions expressed during the Chad Hasty Show are not necessarily the views of this station staff, management, advertisers, or Town Square Media.